Hey folks, I'm HP and this is Dr. Pink, and today's topic is walking bass on guitar. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, and you have joined the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. The link is in the description box below. So, walking bass on guitar is a very cool thing if you play with the piano player or the bass player is missing. You play on your own. Well, I'll show you what I mean. 2, 3. And so on. Different ways of playing walking bass on guitar, a way that you can start to improvise with it to get the technique, how you sound more bassy, and also the technique. If you're playing on your own walking bass, you also need chords. Then you play chords and the walking bass at the same time. Yeah. In this case, we're just using 2 chords as an example that you see how the system works. But to really work out an entire tune, then you really need to work it out with the different chords, but just that you understand the system. So I'm gonna really go into details that you can work it out on your own after this tutorial. So let's get started. Okay guys, first thing to start, if you really want to get that bassy vibe, of course you can play with the pick if you want, but I strongly recommend you play with the thumb as I do. It's really simple. I mean, if you never play finger picking, it still should work, because see, just this movement. You can put your hand here, down here, and just move with your finger. And this way you have a more jazzy sound. I mean, if I take a pick here, I'm quickly gonna take a pick. In this case, I really would recommend just using downstrokes and not upstrokes, because somehow, you know, the real bass players, they have the fingers like this, you know, like this, and it's all like, they make like this more or less, or with 2 fingers. And in this case, we just do with the thumb because it's more convenient. So the chords which we're using is G minor 7 and C7. So that will be G minor 7 to C7 or C9. So this will be this chord here, G minor 7. Here in the 3rd fret, bar A string is damped, and 3rd string with the middle finger. To C9, that will be this here. This goes in the 3rd fret, index in the 2nd fret, bar in the 3rd fret. Or we also can use C13 up here. Here in the 8th fret, 8th fret, 9, 10, A string is not played. Okay? So, or this one here. And it's 1 bar G minor 7, 1 bar C7, just as a little vamp. As I said, it's an example to learn how to play walking bass, to understand the system, to understand the technique, and then you can sort of work out your own tunes, but we just have 2 chords for this little exercise here. I can do more walking bass later. If you love to know more about walking bass, let me know in the comments. I can work out more complex stuff, like I don't know, there are many different examples you can do walking bass, but this is just a general thing to understand how walking bass works. So the first thing you need to know is which is the scale which is played. It's Dorian, G Dorian. So Dorian will be this scale here. I played till up. Because that's important for the improvisation. So this will be G Dorian. So, or we're playing on 1 string. like this. Oops. So you can play either one string up and back, but there you cannot go so far, or just here in this position. Okay? Or like this. So when you play a walking bass, you have the mode which is played, and you use that as a grid to work within. You start on the root note of the chord. So if the first chord is G minor, you start with the G. The second chord is C, you take C, or here. Same note, different position. We first do the one on one string to understand. So the grid is the scale Dorian. So you start, you play quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, and now the next will be the C. So we need something before, because the fifth note has to be a C again. 1, 2, 3. So we go either up, and now next bar we start on the C again, and then we go back. 1, 2, 3, and the G will be here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That already works. See? Let's see how it works with the track. It should sound cool. Really works. Now to get this typical bassy thing, there's a little method. You play it as legato as possible, not like... That's not the way you play it, as legato as possible. That means you slide up to the next one. See? There's a slide in between. Okay? To make it more groovy, you can in between add 2 8 notes, like in this case, to make it sound more fluent, you play now hammer on instead of playing again. Here also, instead of playing this, that sounds a little bit I wouldn't say rude, but it's just not smooth, you know. So that's why you play, and then you slide down. See? Okay, let's do that. See, that really works. Now you cannot play, I mean you can, but it's not really cool to play the same figure all the time. It's also boring. So there are other possibilities. So the rule is, when you play walking bass, you can play anything, but you start on the root note. Even that is not necessary, but we keep it on the basics. So the root note of the chord has to be the first note, and from then on you're free. So then we could do like a negative. That will be another bass line. With the same methods but different notes. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, it works. That would be a thing, just to play different notes. So like, what you also can do, you don't need to play it on one string, you can go, instead of going up, you can also take the here on the A string, the C here instead of here. We come to that a little bit later when we're playing the chords. The next figure which also is included is chromatics. As you have seen, 1, 2, 3, instead of going above the C, because we have to go there, we just play the chromatics. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back. And here, instead of going down, we take the chromatic note. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then now we're pretty much there where we want to be. That's a typical walking bass figure. But the other ones also are typical, I must say this. Not that you have to do chromatics, it's just very typical. Let's see how that one sounds. Okay. Now you can, since you don't want to play the same bass figure all the time, you can mix it up with the other bass line you just learned. And then we are there where we want to be. 1, 2, 3. Now, some bass players also do a kind of a counterpoint in the bass. Now, instead of always going up, down, you can go after the C, instead of going back down, you can go even further up. And the same rule is again, you can just follow the scale. But somehow reach the root note of the next chord. In this case, it will be the G. That will be this one here. So. See? And this is a way to also be more creative in this and give a more creative approach if you're playing the same figure all the time, to make it more interesting. Let's see how that sounds. Now comes the final thing here. Now we want to give more punch and more groove to your bass line. You can do that with, you see that with bass players, they really hang in there with their fingers, you know. This case also with the thumb. And also what you can do is a kind of a pull off to the open string. See, you pull off, but not exactly. You hear the pull-off noise, but it's not an entire pull-off. It just gives a little punchy effect. This way you have more punch. 1, 2, 3. See? But of course it's not cool to do it all the time. It's the mixture of everything which makes the dish really good, I must say. So now you have a few material which works pretty much the same as a bass player. As I said, you just need to know the rule. First note is the root note, and from then on you're free. You follow either in the scale or also use chromatics. You can go up, down, or up, down, down, or up, down, up, whatever you want. That's not really a rule. And you use the different techniques to make it more groovy. You know, stuff like that. Good. Now we come into the more guitar specific thing. This way sorry, of playing, you can use, let you in a band setting as I did now, you don't really feel that the bass is missing this way. If you play on your own, you can add the chords. Now, one method is do the same bass line again. Now we just play the bass note, and then the upper part of the chords are 1 and 2, 3, 4, and then you just move up the same way as we did before. The only thing you really need to pay attention now that your fingering is in a way that, because you have let you no time to build your chord, you need to have your fingering ready. So if you do the C13 up here, this is the index finger of the chord. So you need to go, you need to be ready with your index finger because you don't have time to build up the chord. See? And when we go back down, the middle finger has to be here, so you have to be ready to have your middle finger here. See? That can also work with the track. Really works. What you also can do is with this one here, same thing again. You have to choose your bass line that you are ready for the chords. So we do, see? Here, middle finger, you have to be ready to be back. Your fingering has to be, see? Let's do that one. It's really cool. Yeah. So that will be with chords. If you want to have more chords, like if you play on your own, then you probably need even more chords, because we're playing the chord now on the first beat. But if you're playing on your own, then you also need to have a chord probably on other spaces. There are two methods to do that. One is with inversions. So this is a G minus 7, 2. This is a G minus 7 as an inversion. So now so you do the same bass line as at the beginning, but now we add an inversion here. The fingering has to be really practiced, that that you're ready for the next chord. And no, there's no end. When you go with the C down, what you can do when you go down, you just move the entire chord down with 7th chord. Or if you want to go up, this will be a really common figure on 7th chords. So C7, you reduce your chord to C7, then you move up to, this is a D minor 6 to chromatic up, and this is again an inversion. So you always work with inversions when you use 2 chords on 1 chord, you know what I mean? See, but this stuff you really need to have your fingerings together, because you have absolutely no time to build your chords. Everything has to be fluent. But that will be the most, that's probably the end game of doing walking bass on guitar with all those chords. In this case, only with G minor 7 and C7. Okay, folks, that was the tutorial with walking bass on guitar, jazz walking bass. All shades of playing walking bass on guitar were in this tutorial, but only on 2 chords. The method is always the same. If you have different chords, of course, the things change, especially when you use the walking bass with the chords. If you just do walking bass without chords, you just need to adapt it to the scale which is done at the moment. So that's the thing to know. Yeah, that's all additional to say about that. And if you do so, really practice the thing with foot and tune 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you put the accent also on tune 4, then you're more groovy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. With the foot on tune 4, you have this swing feel automatically, and you're more groovy and more laid back, you know. If you want to play laid back, it's always a little bit too late, but not too late. And there's no way to teach that. You have to feel the laid back feeling, like I would say it's a feeling like having chewing gum in your shoes, and you want to get out of your shoes, like, oh, I want to get out, but I don't get out. That's a laid back feeling, you know. With foot and 2, 4. If you have the 2-4 feeling, it automatically gets the groove which is needed. You know, you make the chords as short as possible, the bass as legato as possible. These are all the things which make the whole thing like a whoa, you know. Yeah. So that was a walking bass. If you want to download the tabs about this tutorial here and the backing track I created, it's available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy, but also join there anyway, because that's my guitar community where we are all who are learning guitar, enjoying guitar, meeting and interacting with each other and talk with each other. You know, the normal stuff you do when you enjoy something. Good. Me and Dr. Pink are saying goodbye, and we're playing a little bit for you at the end. Bye, guys.